Hello, 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 everyone.
Hi, John.
Welcome. Some people are still trying to join in, so we'll wait 1 second. So, I need to shave. Wait for one more to get in here. It's having trouble. Let's see here. How's everyone doing? Staying away from the fires?
Ryan.
Far away.
Oh wait, I'm muted. Never mind. Hold on. Hello? There you are. Okay. Oh, sorry, I muted everybody. Okay. Welcome everyone to this edition of Test Prep. We are doing contracts today and we have finished all 7, and next week we'll go back to the top, but today we'll finish it out. Thank you all for joining me for contracts. So let's get going. Once again, my name is John Bernardo. If you don't know, I am the managing broker and CEO for KW Sacramento, and we just bought another office, KW Capitol Valley. So if you're out near the Citrus Heights, Fair Oaks area in Sacramento, I recommend we join there as well. So we're taking over the world. But anyways, so welcome everyone. This is Test Prep, and we are ready to go. If you have any questions, this is going to help you pass your test. Percentage lease can be described by all of the following except a percentage lease. What is a percentage lease? Who does percentage leases?
D.
What?
D.
B.
Correct, Eric. It is D. A percentage lease is typically used on commercial properties, and it's usually decided the same. We're going to get a certain amount of the gross receipts from the business. So it says, hey, if you make $1 million, we want 1%. So we want $10,000, right? Or yeah, right, yeah. So typically it's a percentage lease. You'll usually see these in business, especially in high profile locations, corner, anchor spaces and things like that. So. Leases are basically classified into 4 categories. They are as follows, except what are the 4 lease categories? Important to know, they will be on the test. I guarantee it.
Okay,
A.
I'm gonna say A. Yeah,
A.
but that's wrong. It's
Say that, so-
suffrage, not suffrage.
Correct, Kathy and Richard. It is A because it's estate at sufferance. There are 4 lease terms: estate for years, estate for period, or periodic, estate at will, and estate at sufferance. Who can explain them? What's estate for years? Wow, this is gonna be on the test. You better be able to explain it. So, everyone scared? No.
An estate for a year is 12 months or less on a lease.
Estate for years is
For a specific period of time.
a set period of time. So technically, if you go rent an Airbnb for a weekend, you did an estate for years because it's a set period of time. Estate from period to period is like a month-to-month rent. So they pay you rent, they get another 30 days. They pay you rent, they get another 30 days. They pay you rent, they get another 30 days, right? What's estate at will? Wow, it's awfully quiet in here.
That's an open-ended.
Open-ended, kind of, yeah. It is open-ended. It is open-ended. It's when the landlord agrees to let the tenant occupy the property, usually for no money, but at the will of the landlord. So some of you will have probably you probably have your deadbeat nephews or cousins that can't hold down a job, and they say, can I come over and sleep on your couch? And they end up staying there 6 months. That's like an estate at will, right? So estate at sufferance is what? You should know this one.
That would be like a holdover tenant that stays over past the lease term.
Right, they stop paying the rent, they're in an eviction period, you're suffering them, right? Living there. When there is a commission rebate to the buyer in a transaction, this fact must be disclosed by the what? We're doing a commission rebate. I'm taking some of my commission, I'm giving it to my client.
When all we have to do is get the phone, get on the computer, and all that. Our problem is it's not like a big city.
Anyone? Wow, this is a very quiet crowd today. Okay, it
But
is,
see, I was walking through a car, so as agent to the seller who has paid the commission.
yes, because if
Okay.
you take part of your pay and you give it to your client to close the deal, you are using the seller's money to close the deal, right? So you have to let that know because the seller is essentially conceding money to the other party as part of the deal that they may not know about. So you have to let them disclose.
I know that has to be transparent.
A seasoned broker who has 30 exclusive listings dies of a heart attack. Her only heir, her son, also who is also a broker, takes over for her. With regard to the descendants listings, the heir should do one of the following.
Let's see, a seasoned broker, let's see, is also, okay, with regard to
The
the
broker,
death.
she had 30 listings. She's mega agent.
Let's see.
Her
the
son takes
heirs-
over. She dies. Her son takes over. What's he got to do?
Yeah, I would think there would have to be that notification.
It's C, I think.
Yeah, let's see,
C?
the son
Who
must
said
bring
C? Is it Anna?
That was me.
Aye. Anna is correct to C. The son must renegotiate all 30 listings. Why must you need to renegotiate all 30 listings?
Because you can't pass them on.
Correct, because it's a contract between the listing agent, listing broker, and the seller. And we know in contracts in California, if one party dies, the contract becomes null and void automatically, right? So yes, negotiate all of it. A leasee has a 2-year lease with a lesser of an apartment building. By the end of year 1 of the lease, the leasee is temporarily moving to another town. There's no mention of the leasee's ability to sublease or assign the lease. In this situation, the leasee may
Let's see. I would say on that one, since there's no provision for them to sublease or, I think that it would have to be asking for permission, see.
D.
D.
Yeah.
Correct, Suela. It is D. In California, if there is no restriction in the lease on ability to sublease or assign the lease, then that right goes to the tenant or the lessee in this case. HVAC. What does HVAC stand for?
Let's see, heating,
It's C.
yeah, see, I
Correct.
think.
Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Actually, you know what's funny? We had an emergency. There was water pouring from a smoke detector in the ceiling in one of our rentals. And it turns out it was the HVAC, and the tenant had not replaced the filter on the HVAC for some time. And it caused the HVAC to strain too much, and it froze over it literally froze over the whole coils. And there's a big old block of ice that was melting up there. So that's why.
Oh my God. Did the tenant have to pay and repair the damages?
Yeah, we're like a tenant. That is your responsibility.
Yeah.
Poor tenant. Pam gives her friend Quinn the right to live and the obligation to make payments in her apartment. Unless the tenant states otherwise, Pam remains bound by the lease contract. This transfer of lease is referred to as a what?
It's a, that is a assignment, or D, all of the above?
Well, you can't
I
choose
think it's
two.
probably just, I think it should be an A, assignment.
Everyone agree assignment?
So-
Okay. It is assignment of lease. Assignment of lease. Under the exclusive right to represent buyer broker agreement, the buyer is obligated to work blank with the agent on any property that he or she purchases, regardless of how he or she finds it.
The above.
All the
The.
yeah, correct. We must exclusively. Ironically, the buyer broker exclusive agreement is used a lot in Southern California, but in Northern California, it is not used. So that is a difference in practices and tradition in different parts of the state. There are three parties to a trust deed. They are who? Who is a three-party? What is a trust deed? Oh no. Am I gonna have to bust out the whiteboard again? Trust story. Who's the three parties to the trust deed?
A,
E. Both A and B.
So you're
I'm
saying
gonna say
C?
A.
It is C, it is both, because in the trust deed, there is a trustor, a trustee, and a beneficiary. The borrower is the trustor, the trustee is the third neutral party, and the lender is the beneficiary. Right?
Oh, got it, yeah. That
So
makes sense.
remember, I think we went over this many times. The reason we have three is the trustee, right? The third neutral third party holds, the trustee borrows the money. So in California, because the trustor borrows the money because he gets ownership of the home with just a lien on it, right? The bank doesn't own it. Because of that, we do a three-party system where the trustor gives them bare legal title. They give the neutral third party the right to foreclose on their home or sell their home, right to sell, power to sell. If they don't pay. And then the lender has to, or the beneficiary has to let the neutral third party, and the neutral third party forecloses on the trustor if they don't pay.
And the neutral third party could be a trustee.
Is
For
it,
the
they're called a trustee. Typically in our state, though, it is a service provided by escrow and title services. So your escrow and title companies also will have a trustee service usually in our state. So generally, there are steps to follow if a person wants to assign a contract. Which of the following is not one of them? What is not one of them? How do we assign a contract? What does assigning a contract mean? Holy moly, why would we assign contracts?
E.
None of the above. Yeah. All the, but none of the above.
Yeah, right.
All the-
So this is not on the test, but who primarily in our industry assigns contracts? Who would assign contracts? Why would we assign contracts? You know?
Well, the lender or even the ice cream man sells contracts. Come on, it doesn't have a contract for everything.
So who has thought about flipping homes before? Who has ever went to a class about flipping homes and says, you can flip homes with no money? No money down. You're poor. It's okay. You can flip homes. Anyone do this?
Mhm.
They use a term called wholesaling as a way to generate funds. What do wholesalers? There are people who call homeowners and say, we want to buy your home, right? Which I'm sure nowadays you get probably calls all over the place about that. So if you're a homeowner, and they put it in contract, but they don't have the money to actually buy it. So they go to their wealthy people, investors, and they say, I got this great deal. Pay me an extra $10,000 to $15,000 and I'll sign you the deal. And they sign the contract. Right? One of the following persons is not capable of entering into a contract. Who's incapable? Shouldn't that be incapable? Not capable. Incapable. I don't know.
B.
D, all of the above.
Correct. All the above. Richard, that kind of looks like you. Never mind. No, that's wrong. You have more hair than you do. So. Okay. A lessee has a lease that requires him to her to pay the property's taxes and insurance costs. This is going to be called what? What? Taxes, insurance. What if your landlord said, you can rent this house, but you got to pay for the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance for the property. What would you say?
A net.
That's true. It is a net lease. You often see these in commercial properties, net leases, net leases. Some people get confused. They want to call it gross because it adds all this stuff. And gross just means you get one payment. Net means it's really, think of it as a procession from the landlord. If I get a gross lease, it means I just get money. I pay all the bills. I get the gross amount. Net means I'm going to get, I want to net this amount of money, right? So that's why I think of it from the landlord perspective. A provision in the contract that calls for an increase in price in the event of an increase in certain costs is known as a what? So the price goes up for certain reasons. What do we call those?
A escalator.
Escalator? Hey, Leanne, I'm not hearing Leanne or Richard back. Maybe I need to. You guys, so if you guys are talking, I can't hear you.
B.
No, I don't know. Something happened.
Am I there now?
Oh, there you are. I hear you.
Hey, hi.
Richard, you okay? No, I can't hear you, Richard. Just one. All right, hold on. Richard's figuring it out. Okay. It is an escalator clause. Why do we have escalator clauses in contracts? You don't know?
So, well, is it so if they're in a longer lease, then that can cover like if expenses go up?
Correct. So often these are in commercial leases because costs go up over time, right? Like, and it's also often the hedge inflation. So they'll say, commercial leases say, we're going to go up, you know, national CPI index, you know, consumer price index, inflation rate goes up every year. We increase the rent, right? So often this is, let's go to escalator clauses. A void contract and avoidable contracts. Main difference is what's a void and voidable contract? What's the difference? Aren't they both bad contracts? I mean, my gosh.
Well, a void contract and voidable.
Is it non-existent?
Can be voided. And one is like, if it's just purely like illegal, then it's a void altogether.
Okay, then what's voidable?
Yeah. If something is shady and then maybe you have to take it to court.
So
I don't know, that's my guess.
you're right, is all the above.
Okay.
So voidable contracts are existing let me go up here. Voidable contracts are existing contracts. You're right. Void contracts are non-existent. That means something about them is void. Therefore, an illegal activity or someone's, you know, is just void. Like, you know, so it's just void. Like if I want to say, I wanted to hire Kathy to murder Suela for me because Suela wronged me. She drove me off the road the other day. That would be an illegal void contract, right? But if a voidable contract is something that where one party is still bound by it, but one party can void it. So what does that mean? As I go to Kathy's house, we're best buds. I bring some wine. I get her all drunk. I have her sign a listing agreement. Yay, yay, yay. She calls me the next day and is like, what did we do? And I said, don't you remember signing the listing agreement? She's like, no. That's a voidable contract. She could void it, but if she wants to still move forward, I'm obligated to move forward because she signed it, right? So that'd be a voidable contract.
So because I signed it when I wasn't in good enough shape to sign it. It's not the best condition to sign.
Correct. So at the time you're incapacitated, but because I wasn't and I knew what I was doing, if you want to still move forward with it, I'm obligated to do that, right? So the main difference between a promissory note and an IOU.
All of the above.
All the above?
Yeah.
I mean, I only read one of them.
Yeah, promissory note is one where it says, you know, where you're going to pay, this is the rate, all that stuff. IOU is like your buddy. Hey, here's $500, pay me back, right? So price fixing is a per se violation of antitrust laws. This includes what?
All the above?
D, yeah, D,
Hey, Mr. Beckley back.
Mm.
Mr. Back. All right.
figured it out.
Yeah. All right. So D, all the above correct. Now, if Mr. Beck and I owned the biggest brokerages in Sacramento,
Yep.
and I went to him and said, hey, this commission compression stuff is stupid. Let's just tell all your agents they must do 6%, and I'm gonna tell all my agents they must do 6%. We're like, yeah, we'll both make more money. And that is price fixing. The following describes earnest money. Earnest money. What is earnest money? Why do we need earnest money?
That is to
sorry.
include with your offer as a, you're showing your earnestness and intent to buy.
Correct, but what is it not?
So
Is it
what it is,
accept?
so what it is not is, it is considered trust funds. It is a good faith sum of money. Good, so it's still A and B.
What about, is
in
it
a
considered
sales
liquidated
contract.
damages? Liquidated damages?
No, C, it's not C.
Does not see? Everyone agree?
Yes.
But
Let's see, D, earnest
yeah,
money
because
is considered liquidated
they can
damages. in
keep
the-
it if you back out.
Correct. If you go all the way to close and you don't close, your earnest money becomes liquidated damages per the contract. So it is.
Ooh, good point. Okay.
It's funny, it's earnest money. Should they call it like honest money? I don't know. Blank is a lease arrangement where the tenant pays only a fixed rent.
Standard.
Standard.
D,
Oh, see, gross rent, remember? There's
Yeah.
Gross and net, gross, net, gross, net. So all of you who are renting or ever rented a home, you're paying gross lease, right? You see that, right? Just one cost. On a close of escrow, the property will be transferred from the seller to the buyer. The closing process may differ from state to state, but basically the steps are as follows, except
D.
All of it.
correct. You have to sign a ton of paperwork and all that stuff. Yeah. The owner, ooh, who's the owner of the leasehold interest in a property? If you own the leasehold interest, who are you?
You're
The
C.
lesser, the A, and no, you could be the A and the C.
Owner of
Well,
lease.
the owner could be a property manager too.
So what's the answer?
I think it's
Who
B.
holds the leasehold interest?
The landlord.
Landlord, yeah.
Person that owns the land.
Oh, the
The
lessee.
lessee.
Oh.
Wait, let's see, the
Remember our
owner.
bundle of
You
rights?
get to use the property.
Right, remember that bundle of rights?
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Well, when someone rents a property, what does the tenant get?
Everything.
They
but
get a
the-
leasehold interest.
Mm-hmm.
oh, right,
They get a
It
leasehold
is
interest in the property. Like, I
essentially-
get to occupy, I have a leasehold interest.
right.
tenant
I
owns it.
have the lease. The tenant is the owner of the lease.
If you see this,
So
you
they
could have
have-
got this answer, even if you knew it was wrong. Even if you thought it was wrong, you could have got the answer because 3 of these are the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Lessor, landlord, and property manager. What you guys said was all the same people, right? So if there's only one right answer, it's got to be the other one, right? Some real estate terms are confusing. As a basic understanding, the suffix E receives and or gives. Common examples are of the following.
All the above.
All of the above.
Yeah, all the above.
If you can remember E receives and or gives, it will really help you on the test. All right. E receives or gives. So like trustee, trustor, right? Trustor is the borrower. He gives bare legal title to the trustee, right?
Isn't there like one example of where it's flopped?
Where it's backwards? Or
Yeah.
what? I'm not aware of one. Is there one?
Oh, I thought you were telling us about one. I guess I'm wrong.
No, I don't remember one.
Okay.
I'll look them.
No, it's
A
okay.
person in a breach of contract is said to have what?
All of the above.
All the above. Don't be a breach of contract. It's not fun. Blank buyer broker agreement is commonly used when the agent shows property to his buyers and wants to ensure he or she can get the opportunity to represent the buyer on the properties he or she shows.
C.
Yeah, both.
A.
C, exclusive or
Fine.
exclusive right to represent. Novation is basically blank, one contract for another.
That would be
A.
a
Substitution?
substitution, yeah. Substitution.
Right, substitution. Correct. The statute of frauds requires the following contracts to be in writing, except. Statute of frauds? What are we talking about? Contracts in writing?
Let's see, I would say D on that.
D would be my guess too.
Correct. They actually require any amount less than is not required to be in writing. So it's more than, it should be more than, right? So if you do anything, any real estate sale contract, any listing agreement contract, any lease for more than 12 months, and any selling a personal property more than 1,000 is required to be in writing. Listing agent Freddie got an offer in the morning and immediately presented to offer seller Gloria the offer to seller Gloria. Late afternoon on the same day, he got one more offer, but with a lower price. It's stupid. What should he do?
A.
A.
Like A.
Yeah, I agree with, I agree with A.
Yeah, you gotta present that offer. A breach of duty with an actual fraudulent intent that gains an advantage to the person at fault by misleading another to others in justice is referred to as what?
A, intentional.
A.
Intentional,
breach
how can
of-
it be intentional if you without an actual intent?
Oh,
Oh,
with-
an actual fraudulent.
I would say C,
Oh, C.
constructive.
Yes, constructive fraud. So they didn't intend to fraud them. They were just lying out. They just pretended they knew something. That is constructive fraud, right? Even if the lease is oral, the landlord must give the tenant a written statement of what? So we can say, we know we can do oral leases. If it's less than 12 months, I can do an oral lease.
All the above.
All the above.
All the above. Yeah, I gotta let them know how
Yeah.
they can pay rent and serve me legal notices, right? So blank refers to a defense of an equitable action that bars plaintiff's recovery due to plaintiff's unreasonable delay in making a claim. What the hell does that mean? Oh my gosh, that is all.
I think, oh God, I forgot how they spell it.
Oh, gotta
D,
spell it right.
is it D?
Yeah, I think it's D, yeah.
A.
Correct, Mr. Beckett is A, latches,
Wow.
Latches.
latches. It's defense of equitable action that bars the plaintiff's recovery due to the plaintiff's unreasonable delay in making a assertion claim. That means if you take too long to say they wronged me, if you wait too long, they can throw it out on the concept of latches. Consideration is described as anything of legal value. It involves a benefit to the blank and the detriment to the blank. Oh, how do you know your spelling?
A.
A, because it's E or, remember E or, promise or. A person who is completely without understanding, but has not been blank declared incompetent, has no power to contract.
I would say A judicially.
Mhm.
Actually, that's more like judicially.
Oh,
C.
yeah.
Let's see. My God, I didn't know it was a spelling test.
Yeah, that's
Different.
right. Good one.
A
I'm-
non-exclusive, not for compensation agreement is the most basic form of buyer broker agreement in California because
Let's see. Okay. I'm
D.
coming in on my computer, guys, so
D,
it's
all
easier
of the
to-
above.
correct, all the above. It means they don't owe you anything, so we don't really use that form because even if we have no form, they don't really owe anything. A property owner sold his listing property himself before the expiration of the exclusive agency listing. The listing broker is entitled to how much commission?
A.
let's see, he's entitled to full commission, A.
Or the commission split though. How's that worded?
He sold the property.
Able to. D, nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
Mhm.
Why? Because it's exclusive agency listing. What's exclusive agency listing say?
When you only get when you are the seller. When you're the one that procured the buyer is when you get the commission.
No, not necessarily. It just means the owner, only if the owner procures.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
The exclusive
yeah,
agency is if the owner procures the buyer, then they don't owe you commission.
right, no, that,
Anybody else who brings you a buyer, even if it's another agent, you still get the commission, right?
Right.
So,
right, now that's true because that gives the owner an out. This
right,
type
so-
of- This is the least, this is not a desirable type of listing agreement.
yeah, most residential agents do not use this, but it is more common in commercial. So,
If you're an owner seller or sell by owner, a lot of the times will they go into these sort of listings and then will they still ask the agent for like maybe some of the paperwork help?
sometimes they'll ask for paperwork help.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've done FISBO. I've been on the buy side of FISBOs and the sellers are like, they don't even know what the heck they're doing, right? So
No, right.
it's actually fun because I can actually like mess with them. And actually, I can actually know they're messing up and I can actually structure it to where if my buyer, if anything goes wrong with the property, we could probably sue and win, right? That's how that would be.
Yeah.
So I just set it up that way. But anyways, but exclusive agents, no, typically FISBOs will be open to an open listing agreement. That will be, I'll let you market my property and if you bring the buyer, I'll pay a commission, right? So that's usually what FISBOs will do. A broker takes a listing from a corporation. While under the listing term, the director dies. In this situation, what happens? He died.
But it's a corporation, so the listing is still in
That
full
would
effect.
be- I would say it has to be appointed by new directors, signed by new directors.
Everyone agree? Leanne, did you say something different?
I think that
Or
the
A.
listing is still in full effect because it is a corporation and not a, and so the director dying isn't, you're not doing business just with the director.
Correct, Leanne, because a corporation is an entity and is apart from humans. And if it's signed, long as the entity is still there, it is a legal contract.
Okay, got it. That does make sense. Yeah.
A tenant verbally entered into a 10-month lease with the landlord and in month 5 decided to relocate to another city. The oral lease was what?
Valid.
She's like, valid. Correct, it is valid.
Valid, yeah.
Remember, less than 12 months, it can be an oral lease, right? So, all the following characterization of an exculpatory clause. Except, what's an exculpatory clause? My gosh, why are we throwing around all these legal terms?
Oh, man.
Damn this contract law.
Let's see. It is part of the contract that is a provision of agreement intended to provide.
A? Mhm. A.
I would think A would be a characteristic.
It is D. All right. And the sculpatory clause is, you often see these in listing agreements. They'll say, hey, Suela, I'll list your home for sale, right? But Suela, if you do something weird or wrong or start discriminating against buyers and stuff like that, I'm not negligent. You have to cover me. If I get sued because you do something bad, you have to cover me, right? That's like an exculpatory clause, right? So everyone reading? Or if sometimes Suela is my seller and I start saying stuff that's not about the property legally, then Suela could say, no, John created my liability. He's responsible. He has to cover me, right? So. A blank is an agreement between a property owner and a real estate broker that authorizes the broker to procure a ready and willing buyer at a stated price and term in return for a commission.
Listing agreement.
Yep, listing agreement.
I hope you guys know that is a listing.
Yeah.
Pretty important there. Okay. 5 days after entering into an exclusive right to sell listing, the property owner dies. The descendants executor is not selling the descendants property. In this situation, what happens?
A.
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 Correct. He
Yeah.
died. It's over.
Yeah.
Finito. Under the California Civil Code, that for a contract to exist, it requires blank, which is described as being within the bounds of the law.
It would be, it requires parties parties
Oh,
capable.
yeah.
A. Mutual.
C.
Which is described as being within the bounds of the law.
C. Lawful object.
Correct. Lawful object. So
Yeah,
remember we talked about if I wanted to hire Suela to murder Leanne because she cut me off on the road, that is not of lawful object. So that would be not a contract, right? It would be void at that point. But there are things you'll need to know. This will be on the test. There's thing for a contract to exist, the parties must be capable of contracting. There must be mutual consent, sufficient consideration, and it must be of lawful object. Got it? In most states, the following contracts must be in writing, except what must be in writing? What doesn't have to be in writing?
A.
Of the wolf.
A.
yeah, if it's all
Contracts,
good.
did
would
you
have
know
to
marriage
be-
are contracts? Marriage is a contract. What's the consideration in marriage contracts? Anyone know?
Love and affection.
Love and affection. That's right.
And
Love and affection.
of course, assets.
No, it's love and affection.
Or something that assets and money get bought over.
Need to
Okay.
bring a dowry. Oh, we should bring dowries back. I like that. A broker,
The
a
heck,
property owner entered into an exclusive agency listing. A property owner personally affected the sale of this property. In this situation,
no,
The-
no. This is similar to the question we had just a few minutes ago. Kind of,
what'd you say, Beck?
that this is an exclusive agency listing.
And
Yeah, I
the
thought that
seller
was
did the
C.
sale, so it is C, no
Yeah, I would
commission.
say C, no commission,
So we
yeah.
know a couple already. You're gonna have to know the types of listings, right? We know exclusive right is you get the money no matter what, right? We know exclusive agency, I get the commission, but I don't if the seller brings the buyer, right? Finds the buyer. Okay. Blank will render a contract invalid if something was threatened into making it.
E.
Fraud.
I would say,
Threatened. What'd you say?
could be B, yeah, I agree
Duress.
with B,
Yeah,
direct.
duress.
Oh, yeah, you're under duress.
Don't threaten your clients to sign the listing agreement. That would be illegal. Seller Nancy gives broker Oscar a net listing wherein the listing broker's commission would be any price in excess of 100,000. A potential buyer made an offer of 95,000. Broker Oscar what?
B.
Yep, must present
Must
it.
present.
But he's not going to make any money. But he still has to present.
Yep, he has
So we
to.
now have a third type of listing, a net listing. What's a net listing? You get the money any and above what the seller nets on the property, right? So
Mhm.
And because he has fiduciary responsibility to the seller, he has to share that offer with her, even if it doesn't necessarily help him as much.
Correct.
yeah, I had a net listing we were going to offer, and we're going to offer less than this price. And the broker came back to me and says, no, you have to offer over this price. Your commission that you will earn will be anything over the list price. And I said, no, you are breaking the law. You must present my offer. You don't have to make money on it to present my offer, right?
Mhm.
He was not happy about that. So,
Aren't net listings illegal in most states or a lot of states?
I don't know if
Or is
they are legal in California, so you can do a net listing. I've
How
done it.
often do you do those? And
Oh, they're rare.
yeah,
I think I've done one on a buy side and one listing as a net, right?
Mhm.
So we did one listing in net. I forget. We had a guy we've been talking to for a year. He was being transferred, and suddenly he got transferred quick, so he had to like leave. And he's like, we just ended up. He already paid for the contractor. We just oversaw the finishing of the rehab of the home. It's like, I just need to net I think it was like 560 on the home.
Mhm.
I don't care what you take above it. So we did a net listing, and we thought we could get more, and we got like 576, and we took a $16,000 commission, right? So
Mhm.
a couple is renting an apartment for January 1st to December 31st. This is an estate for
Years, a.
years. Yes, estate for years. Under subheading 3, contract terms and legal requirements on the seller advisory form, referencing the residential listing agreement. I got the following are discussed except.
I would say B, government retrofit standards.
Notice D, they're all discussed on there.
Oh,
What are oh man, they got it here. Withholding taxes. What do we withhold in real estate? In the contract? Why do we have to sell it? No, there may be withholding taxes. What do we withhold? Anyone know?
Is it? Oh, is it if it's foreign? If it's a foreign purchase?
All
we
right, yeah,
withhold.
good job. Yes, Mr. Richard Beck, it is. Foreigner is one of those. If a foreigner sells a home and they don't reside in America, there will be an automatic withholding. I think it's 10% of the proceeds of the sale, or 10% of the price will be sent to the IRS automatically. And also in California, if you sell a non-occupied home, not owner occupied, that means a rental home at any level. If you sell a rental home, California requires that you take 3 1/3% of the commission, of the purchase price, and send it to the franchise tax board too. So that's withholding. Obviously, we understand prohibition against discrimination. What are government retrofit standards? You have to know these. Do we have government retrofit standards in California? Oh, Swayla's shaking her head. She's saying yes, there are. So she knows what they are. What are the government retrofit standards in California?
I've heard of them, but
She's like, yes, we do have them.
yeah.
Anyone know?
I don't.
We have 3 main statewide government retrofit standards. That means anytime a house sells, this must happen. These must be retrofitted on the property. Number 1, smoke detectors.
Carbon monoxide.
There must be present smoke detectors, and they must be operational.
And then the water heater straps.
Yes, good job. Double strap the water heater in case of earthquake. They must be double strapped. And finally, this was a
Carbon
new one I had
monoxide.
recently. Carbon monoxide detector. Thank you, Leanne. Carbon monoxide detector must be in the home and operational at the time of sale as well. Just so you know, for your own information, as real estate agents, this won't be on the test. Smoke detector current standards code, current building code in California is Anyone know?
One per room? Or
One
someone-
per room and one
One-
outside of the rooms.
Okay, like a
So for
hallway.
example, if you had a hall with several rooms on it, you'd have to put one in room and one in the hall outside the rooms. And say there was 2 floors and there was also a bedroom and bathroom downstairs, you would have to put one in the bedroom, bathroom downstairs and one outside the bedroom and bathroom downstairs as well. So what's the carbon monoxide standard, code standard? Anyone know?
One in general hallway or 2, depending on the size of the house.
And
Close. One per
sleeping
floor.
areas.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one per floor.
One per floor. And we already know double strap that water heater. And the water heater strapping actually gets very complicated. There's various ways to strap the water heater properly, depending on if it's in a corner, if it's strapped to the wall. It's very funny, actually. And you'll need to know other tax implications, legal taxes, like if it's a short sale, or maybe there's capital gains tax on it, right? You need to know those things, right? So a tenancy at sufferance arises when the tenant wrongly holds over after the term expired. The landlord can evict the tenant as a blank or can accept such tenant for a similar term under the tenant's previous holding.
B.
Yes, you can accept it as a trespasser. Trespasser. Contracts may be oral except those specifically required to be in statute to be in required by a statute to be in writing. Such contracts are referred to as coming under the what?
Statute of frauds.
Statute of frauds. That's contract law in California is governed by the statute of frauds. Correct. Most states follow the doctrine of equitable conversion. Under this doctrine, once the buyer signs a land sales contract, equity regards the blank as the owner of real property. This is a tough one. What's equitable
Buyer
conversion?
signs on land sale.
Would we say the state is now the owner? No, the
Buyer.
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 So many states that follow the doctrine, under this doctrine, once the buyer signs land sale contract, equity regards the buyer as the owner of the real property. However, California follows the minority rule. If the destruction of property occurs during the escrow period, the seller bears the risk of loss. So in other states, once you sign a contract, the buyer is now responsible for the property. In California, we are not that way. You are not responsible till close of escrow. So
Mhm.
the seller is. Another form of listing is where the seller's broker receives a commission from the seller, regardless of who brings a buyer into the purchase. This listing is referred to as what?
Exclusive,
Seller's broker.
exclusive right to sell.
Right, correct me,
Yep.
Ann. A, exclusive right to sell. A periodic tenancy is a tenancy that runs from what?
Month to month.
All of the above.
Oh, yes, that's right. I agree. All of the above, because all of those are a
Period
time
of
frame,
time, yeah. It doesn't matter, it has to be
period,
a
a
month.
period.
Since an estate for years has a defined specific beginning and ending dates, no notice to blank is required.
B, vacate.
Yep.
Yes, there is no need to vacate, although I do recommend it, but you know. An unenforceable contract is one that is what? It's unenforceable.
D.
D, I agree with D.
Mhm.
So what is unenforceable? Why is it valid? It's C. It's actually valid and binding.
Hmm.
It's both valid, an unenforceable contract is both valid and binding. What does that mean? Why?
It's valid and valid contract is binding and enforceable. An unenforceable contract has all of the essential elements of a contract required by law, but for some reason can't be fully enforced.
So for example, say right now you're in someone's in contract to close on a home by the 31st of August. Is there 31 days in August? 30. At the end of August. But they're in the Caldor fire area up here in Northern California. And you can't even get there. You don't know if you don't know if it's burned down or not. Heck, the county office won't even record on it. They're closed down, right? So the contract is unenforceable, meaning it's there, it's still valid, it's just we can't do it, right?
You
There's a
can't
reason
do it.
we can't execute it, right? Because of some reason, right? So that's an unenforceable contract.
All right.
A listing broker failed to include a termination date in the exclusive listing with the seller. The broker
Mm, I would say C, both A and B. No, wait, it wouldn't be, no, that.
Yeah,
uh,
an exclusive listing has to have a end date, or yeah.
I know
you
I
can
had
get
an
in a lot
agent
of
one time
trouble.
come in and they say, oh, she's like, my clients trust me. We're just going to change the date when they call me back until they signed everything, but she just left the beginning and end date blank. I said, you just broke the law. You go back right now and get it, put the dates in and have them some initial next to it. And I better see that or you're fired tomorrow, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, you need to really proof your work on these. Make sure you have everything marked.
failure of an agent to disclose the amount of compensation in a net listing is cause for.
I would say again, that would be both A and B.
Both A and B. So in a net listing, like that guy I told you where we made like 16,000, I have to tell him when he signs the offer, if you sign this offer, we will make 16,000 on this commission on this deal. Are you okay with it? You must disclose that.
Disclose.
Disclose this. Voidable contracts would include all the following except.
And this is what we just talked about, all of the above except,
None of the above, except none of the above.
yeah, none of the above, because all of those would be making it voidable.
Yeah, which is crazy if you think about it. Like I could hold the gun to your head that says sign this contract, and later on, like I forgive you, John. Let's do it anyways. That's crazy. It's still a valid contract. That's crazy. A blank tenancy is also known as an estate from period to period.
Periodic, D.
Correct. D, periodic. Very good. One of the following is true when the incapacity of a person of unsound mind has been judicially determined. One of the following is true. Which one's true?
One of the following is true when the incapacity of a person that has been,
Unsound mind. Actually, I was watching a training today on how to work with seniors. We're talking about
let's see. Incapacity.
I'm
mean,
gonna say A.
incapacity. What?
If somebody was assigned like a general agents of them though, couldn't they enter contracts for them? Like a
Yeah, but
They're
I
not
don't
called
think
a general
A.
agent. If someone wanted to sign on behalf of someone else, what would they have to have?
They would have to have power of attorney.
Yeah,
Power of
that's-
attorney. And
that's
if
the
you are
word.
the person that has that power of attorney, you're called a what?
Oh God, executor? No.
An attorney in fact. An attorney in fact. But this is A. So if someone has been judicially determined of unsound mind, they cannot go into a contract until capacity is restored, right? And the judge says so. A non-exclusive listing is where a seller could give a listing to more than one broker without having to pay more than one commission. A non-exclusive is also known as a what?
Open listing.
Open listing. So now we know we got exclusive right, which says agent gets a, no matter what. We got exclusive agent that says agent gets a commission unless the owner brings a buyer. We got a net listing, right, which we only make above the list price. And now we got the net of the offer. Then we got open listings. That means, what is the open listing says? Well, yeah, it's an open listing. Why would I sign that? Open listing allows you to market the property. So you have the seller's permission to use photos, you know, whatever you can to market the property. If you bring the buyer, you get it. So rescission is a legal action taken by one party to blank a contract when the other party has breached said contract.
D.
I would say that would be D, all of the above.
All the above. Broker Lucy takes a listing to sell a house. Broker Marie brings a buyer to see the house and makes an offer on behalf of the buyer. For certain, Broker Marie is what?
She is the
What's Broker Marie?
operating broker.
Cooperating? Who's she cooperating with?
She
Listen,
Yes, she is the cooperating broker. So when you do a listing, remember, you're getting the full commission. I say, I'm going to do 6% and I'm going to give 3% to the buyer's agent, right? When the buyer's agent comes and writes an offer, they're known as a cooperating broker because they're cooperating with me. Actually, this is subject to a lawsuit right now in America. They're saying that is illegal.
Cooperate with.
The parole evidence rule has something to do with the following except. What's the parole evidence rule?
C, written, oral declarations.
I would.
Oh, sorry. It said, sorry, it said accept. I forgot.
And
Accept.
parole.
Yes, it has to do with the difference between oral and written contracts and yes, you're right.
Yeah, so not,
Yeah, sorry, you're right.
not parolees.
Not parolees, yeah. In the exclusive right to sell listing, a property owner cannot sell the property his or himself without paying a commission unless a blank is noted in the agreement.
I'm gonna say a exception.
Correct, an exception is put in there. On the last day of an exclusive listing, broker Al submitted a list of names of potential buyers he negotiated with seller Bell. He unintentionally left out a potential buyer, Colt's name. 5 days later, seller Bell sells to buyer Colt. Seller Bell what?
Seller Bell would not be liable for.
Commission,
Wait a
yes. So
yeah.
in a listing agreement we have, there's a clause known as a security clause. There's other names for it. That if you provide a name of potential buyers that were interested in the house or offered on the house that weren't accepted prior to a listing expired, that for a certain amount of time, depending on what you put in that clause, the seller would still be required to pay you a commission if one of those buyers bought the homes. But in that clause, it says they must submit a name in writing prior to expiration of the listing. In this case, because the name was not on the list, then he doesn't get the commission. An option listing. Oh, we got another version. What's an option listing? Where blank has the option to purchase property.
Oh, it's the broker.
It's the
Yeah,
broker, yeah. So you
agree.
could have another listing that says, I like your house. Maybe I want to buy it too. Most real estate contracts must be blank to be enforceable.
I would say A.
In writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in
wow.
writing.
After the purchase contract is signed, damage that occurs to a property before escrow closes the responsibility of
The
the
A, the seller.
Buyer.
the seller. Remember, we're in the minority rule, right?
Mhm.
Seller is still responsible for the condition of the home, even after signing the contract. A buyer has seen a for sale sign on the front yard of a property. The buyer never actually contacted the property's broker until after the listing had expired. The broker would be what?
A,
I'll take commission.
Great, not entitled because he didn't have anything before.
It expired, not now, yeah, not entitled because it happened after. If the
Correct.
buyer had contacted them before and then made an offer within the tail, the tail period after the expiration, the commission might still be valid.
Broker can't show the potential property which he is authorized to sell under an open listing. After he showed the property, what should broker Kent do?
See, I think that
D, I think it's D,
Oh,
definitely D.
B or C?
Potential.
I think C.
Yeah.
B, put in writing.
D, notify the seller in writing of the potential buyer's name. Why?
In writing.
So that if that guy buys, that he would be entitled to his commission? Or
Right,
just
because it's an
because
open listing, right?
disclosed?
So an open listing, you only get the commission if you bring the buyer. So
Right.
what's the most important thing you want to do is notify the seller that I brought this buyer. So if they buy the home, you owe me a commission, right? So some listing agreements contain a safety clause entitled the broker to a commission after the listing expired. To comply with the terms of the listing agreement, the broker usually needs to send a notice with each potential buyer's name within a certain number of days to the seller. A safety clause is also known as a
Both, see?
correct.
Yeah,
So
I
safety clause,
agree.
protection clause, extender clause. And when they say that, they mean the listing agent has extending or protecting the listing agent. A buyer wants to be relieved from the contract to purchase, and the seller agrees to take the earnest money in lieu of selling the property. The contract termination is called what?
Oh, this contract.
let's see.
Accord and satisfaction.
Yeah, I think C.
Correct, accord and satisfaction. That is-
Right, accord and satisfaction. Yep.
Blank is evidenced by a definite offer that the property is accepted.
Consideration.
Let's see, evidence by a definite offer. I would say mutual consent, C.
I think it's consideration.
Mutual
Oh,
consent.
no, mutual consent. Consideration.
So if an
Money.
offer was accepted on a property, we assume there was mutual consent, right? So. An aunt gifted the house to her 17-year-old nephew. Before the nephew turned 18, he deeded the house to a charitable institution. Upon the nephew's 18th birthday, he decided he wanted the house back. However, the nephew died. My gosh, this is tragic. While the process is
Oh
taking
my
back the
goodness.
house, one of the following statements is correct regarding the situation.
Mhm.
Nephew's persona.
Okay.
C.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with C. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
even gives rise to the heirs as well. So that right transfers.
Mhm.
One of the following is not true regarding a net listing. Not true. What's not true?
That's true. That's true. I'm gonna say D.
We have a D. Everyone agree?
I was thinking maybe C, because we talked about that a little bit earlier. I think.
Oh, what are you saying, Kathy? What are you saying? Why is it C?
So I think it's C.
It is C. Why?
Good
Because
question.
it's
Because
not
it's
a
not
not
net.
on or above the gross prices of the net proceeds of the sale of the home, right?
Is there a lot of questions like that on the test where it's just one word and if you read it too fast?
Yes.
Oh, great.
I've had people says, I think I went too fast. They were so close and they went, read the questions. They will try to trick you. I've talked to test preparers, literally DRE test preparers. They will try to trick you. So read the question slowly. An emancipated minor entered into a contract to buy a house. The contract is what?
I would say C, both A and B.
Yeah,
Yep.
correct.
No.
A property owner will probably sell faster with a blank than other kinds.
B.
I'm gonna say B, exclusive, wait a minute.
Said B, it is a multiple listing service.
Yeah.
That is the best way to sell a property
Markets the property far and wide.
to every broker and everyone imaginable. Broker Dave verbally informed seller Eden of a potential buyer with whom he had negotiated 3 days after the listing expired. The buyer buys seller Eden's house in this situation. One of the following is correct.
B, broker Dave is entitled, because it's still within that.
A.
It's A, I think, because he only verbally did it and not written.
Correct. It is A. He is not entitled to.
All
commission
right,
because
good job, good job.
That one I read and paid attention to the wording.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Read the, yes.
Yeah,
So fast, so like, because you guys are so quick readers.
I'm trying to finish on, I try to finish on time, that's why, because otherwise
Good-
we get
good
like for
job.
days, right? So a broker cannot demand, claim, or receive any fee, commission, or compensation of any kind based on an exclusive contract that lacks a definite and specific.
B, all of the above.
D, all of-
Correct.
all of
D.
which all of those mean the same thing.
If a breach of contract occurs, the injured party has remedies such as what?
C, all, D, all of the
yeah.
above.
D, yeah.
Real property is considered to be unique and monetary compensation will not suffice for a breach of contract to sell real property. Hence, the court will force an owner to sell the property according to the contract. This action is called what?
It's called specific
Performance.
performance.
Kathy got it.
Correct. Be specific for performance. A 16-year-old boy inherited vacant land from his aunt. On his 17th birthday, he entered in contract from the church and deeded the land to the church. The church quickly built a structure on such land. The boy turned 18, decided he wanted the land back. The boy, what?
Does it change things
Hey.
because they built a structure?
Well, they built a
Yeah.
structure on it. Aren't they
I'm
entitled
gonna say
to some money?
A still, he gets his land back.
Yeah, I agree with A.
It is A. It doesn't matter. He still gets his land back.
Yeah.
Church is out of that. In a typical real estate transaction, the seller pays full commission. The full commission is usually split among several people. One of the following is an example of said commission split.
C.
D.
Yeah.
A,
It's both. It's weird. They
Yeah,
do it kind of
both.
weird though.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is
It is
saying
listed, it's written.
half the
weird.
commission goes to the listing on, half goes to the buyer side, right? And this is saying the brokerage gets 15% of half, and the listing agent gets 35% of half, and this one, same thing on this buyer side. But they do it weird. Usually that's it'll be like 80. So, anyways, but
Right.
it's-
So everybody who cooperates gets money from it. You know, both sides.
That's the beautiful part about real estate.
Yeah.
In contracts, consideration is in the form of what?
Money.
D, anything worth
D.
value or love and
Exactly,
affection.
Leanne. I can offer
Oh,
love and
in
affection to
contracts, all
you.
contracts, so I was
That's
thinking
right.
real estate. Yeah.
I can even offer Mr. Beck love and affection, and if he signs off, we're good to go, right? So.
Oh, no.
Write up the contract.
I thought that was the other one.
Usually a listing
That's the way
agreement can be terminated through one of the following scenarios.
And D.
See all of the above.
Yeah, all the above.
Yeah. Yep.
Repudiation refers to a party's refusal to perform an obligation owed to the other party. Because this happens before the actual breach of contract, repudiation is often referred to as what?
I would say anticipatory breach because it's gonna happen. It's
Yes,
anticipated.
anticipatory breach, so. Say you're in a listing and you're in a contract, you're about to close, a week before close, somehow the seller meets the buyer. They get into a fight and the seller says, hell no, I ain't selling the home to them. I'm not gonna sign that docs to sell the home to them. That is called repudiation, but it's not as actually a breach of contract till we actually don't close, right, on the close date. So. Some of the most important terms covered by a listing agreement are as follows, except what's the most important things in a listing agreement?
Some of the most important terms covered by a listing agreement are as follows.
The duration.
I would say maybe,
Oh, except
well, C, safety.
I think
No.
None of
B,
it.
all of those are important.
They're all important, yes, because you want to know how much they're gonna pay, how long it goes, and do I get an extender on it, right? Those are the most important, yeah. Oh, this is good. I like this one. This was fun. Okay, ready? Pay attention. Seller Henry has a 90-day exclusive agency listing with broker Ingrid. After 10 days, seller Henry terminated said listing in writing and thereafter signed an open listing agreement with broker Jenna. Broker Jenna brings in an offer that seller Henry accepts. Who gets paid the commission?
It's exclusive agency and not right. So
But-
the person, Jenna
Seller
gets
Henry terminated in writing.
I would say B, broker Jenna.
Does broker Jenna get the commission?
Jenna,
Because isn't it like
yeah.
him accepting Jenna's offer, he's pretty much like doing a contract with her, like
Well, yeah, because broker Jenna signed an open listing, right? So it says if broker Jenna can market the property, if she brings a buyer, she gets commission, and she brought a buyer, right? She brought an offer, right? So does broker Jenna get the commission?
Yeah.
What about broker Ingrid? She's out cold.
Oh, hold on. With broker.
She kind of got screwed, I
You
think.
got screwed in the whole process. Did broker Ingrid get screwed in this whole process?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. She signed the exclusive agency and not exclusive right.
Okay, no, it's C, broker Ingrid.
Oh,
Let me
ouch,
back this up a little. I'll let you read that, but let me back it up.
ouch, ouch. Okay.
What seller assigned a 90-day exclusive agency listing? Bro, and Henry terminated in writing. But can a contract be terminated by one party?
No,
It's
that's
bilateral.
unilateral.
Oh, once you're in contract, it has to be mutual consent to cancel or rescind the contract, right?
And maybe it
So
was.
after he signed an open listing with broker Jenna, but he can't sign an open listing with an open listing agreement with broker Jenna because he's still under contract with an agency listing with broker Ingrid. But what does broker Jenna do?
No.
So
She
then
brings a buyer. So if the house is still in 90-day exclusive agency listing, she's bringing the buyer. Now she's the cooperating broker, right?
Right.
So they both get it because Ingrid gets a listing commission because
So she's a listing and
the
she's
seller didn't bring the buyer. Another agent brought the buyer, so she gets she gets the listing commission, and Jenna gets a buyer not because she had the open listing, because she brought the buyer on the exclusive agency listing, right?
Right.
Ah, was that
Right.
confusing?
So that the question tells us that Henry unilaterally ended the contract.
He
With,
said he terminated the sub listing in writing,
yeah,
but he can't terminate exclusively, so
right.
even in writing.
Without Ingrid agreeing to it.
Correct. The
Okay.
following are some elements of a contract, except what are some elements?
Hmm,
Some elements.
A.
Yes. Offer, not assignment of delegations, offer.
Right,
consideration.
correct. Because that's something that's done to the contract. It's
Ooh,
not
this
in
good.
the contract.
All the following are correct about open listings, except. So which one is incorrect? And there's no all the above or none of the above. So you're gonna have to read these.
Right, so let's see. Authorization given. Sale of the property, not correct. It is, I think it is the most. Yeah, it's a I think it would be C because,
Because it's confusing. It's not confusing, complicated.
yeah, it's kind of, it is.
Who's confused already? So. Anyone else?
C.
See? Yeah, saying C. Wow. Does everyone agree?
Oh, maybe A.
I have a
Maybe
feeling
A?
it's be
Yeah.
wrong. It's,
Okay, let's see if we can deduce it ourselves. All right, we won't go there. Is an
That's true,
open
that's very
listing an
much true.
authorization given by the property owner to a broker to act as the agent for the seller property? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it is, right? It's
Mhm.
saying, I'll let you market the property, bring me a buyer. And if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission, right?
Mhm.
All right, so we know that's true. Open listings may begin to several agents, but commission is earned by the agent who first secures a ready, willing, and able buyer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
True.
An open listing is the most complicated and confusing form of written authorization to sell.
False.
False? Why is it false, Ian?
Because I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the easy. It's actually the easiest one, right? Because
Yeah.
because it's like you have to bring the buyer.
Right.
That's who gets the commission.
all there is to
Whoever
it.
brings the buyer gets the commission, right? You don't have to worry about did the
Exclusive
owner bring it?
agency is
Did
the
the
one
agent
that
bring
makes
it? It doesn't matter. Bring the buyer. You get the commission, right?
Yeah.
California brokers use a blank when accepting earnest money with an offer to purchase real property. This is a basic contract for the transaction.
Deposit receipt.
Yep, I agree.
Deposit receipt,
Agree.
correct, deposit receipt.
Yes.
The following are some of California statute of limitation laws, time limits to file lawsuits in relation to real estate transactions, except, wow, okay. Which one's not right, I guess?
Oh, I don't know these.
How long for a breach of written contract, for property damage, for intentional misrepresentation? Come on, people.
I want to say none of the above.
It's
When
gonna say
in
none
doubt,
of
go
the
with
above.
none of the above. Yeah.
It's not as 2 years for a breach, but it's not actually. It is 4 years if you have a breach of written contract, or 2 years if it's oral, 3 years if it's property damage, and 2 years if it's real estate for negligent disclosure on the real estate agent, and 3 years for misrepresentation by the seller. That's how it is.
This would be 4 years of breach of it.
4 years for breach of the contract, 3 years for property damage, 2 years if you're suing the licensee, and 3 years if for negligence, meaning they messed up in the transaction, and 3 years if you want to sue the seller agent for frauding. Crazy, huh? I don't know. They should have it all be like 4 years. I don't know why they make it so complicated. Blank is a classification of contract wherein a party or both parties have not yet completed performance of their obligation. Oh, what do we call this? We're in escrow, but we're not quite done yet. What do we call
That would be an A, an executory. Executive.
Correct, an executory contract, correct. Blank is a clause that often used in real estate contracts where it specifies in advance what the damages are to be in the event of contract breach.
Remedies.
And damages?
Yeah, I agree with you. Liquidated damages.
Oh, she said remedies.
Oh,
I don't know. It's either A or D.
Mr. Becky, let's
See,
But I don't know.
A, liquidated damages. Remember, we told you if you don't close, you go all the way and release all contingencies, you will have liquidated damage, which is your earnest money deposit. So liquidated damage is a clause that says if either party does not close, what is the damage? And if we agree to it ahead of time, we can already agree ahead what the damage would be, right? Or what the thing would be. The seller's promise to pay a commission to a broker if the broker finds a buyer forms a blank contract. Oh,
let's see, bilateral.
Bilateral.
C.
Bilateral.
no, it forms a unilateral contract.
Oops,
Oh,
I made a mistake.
Why? What does that mean? Why do we have a unilateral contract?
The seller's
because you're
promise.
just talking about what the seller is
There's only
doing.
one party. Remind, if I do an
Right.
open listing with
Seller
you,
promises.
if I do an open listing with you, I have a unilateral contract because I don't have to do anything until you bring a buyer. Right? And if you don't bring a buyer, we have no contract, right? So listing agreements, especially open listings, are considered unilateral contracts because there's no only specific performance on one side of the contract. Now, if you get in contract, you bring a buyer, the buyer and seller in contract, that is a bilateral contract at that point.
Mhm.
An option listing is a listing with a provision that gives the blank to purchase the right to purchase. I think we talked about this, right? Purchase
Yeah.
this property.
It's the broker.
It's the broker.
Right, to be none of the, oh, yeah, listing broker. Yep. Mhm.
Typically, a listing agreement may be terminated if.
Let's see, I would say D, all of the above. Well, let's see, this is a listing, yeah, right.
The main difference between an express contract and an implied contract. Ooh,
Let's see, express, implied
C,
is, yeah, C, implied is shown is by how people are acting.
All the
just
above.
above. So an
All the above.
implied contract is one creation by conduct rather than words. It is applied by actions of the party. On the other hand, express clause is opposite of implied. It exists when the parties have at least discussed the terms of contract, whether these terms are later put into writing. So if I start showing homes to a client and we never actually discussed me being their real estate agent, just by our actions, we have an implied contract, right? So even if we have not discussed it. A clause in a contract that underlines punctual performance as a condition of the contract is called what?
Time is of the essence, B.
Time is of the essence. Yeah, and I thought you guys thought that was just a saying, but no, it's actually a legal contract term. Time is of the essence. One of the following types of listing agreements does not require the broker to receive a commission unless he or she is the procuring cause. Which one of those?
Does not require,
All of the above.
E, yeah.
All
yeah,
the above? All of them? You are correct. Very good. You guys have learned your listing types. I like it. I like it. A sales associate prepared a listing for a broker. The listing belongs to who?
E.
It belongs to the broker.
yeah.
Yes, it's always a broker's. Yes, it is.
Right,
A buyer proposed a high offer for a property. The listing broker did not communicate this offer to the seller. Instead, the broker persuaded the seller to accept a lower offer from a dummy buyer. The broker then resold the property to the other buyer at a higher price. The difference between the sale prices to selling prices is known as what profit?
Secret.
True, it is called secret profit and it is highly illegal.
Yeah, that is not allowed. That's a big no-no.
It's a big no. Oh, we have finished contracts and we have finished 5 minutes early, which is awesome. Congratulations all. How do you guys feel about contracts? You feeling good about this?
Ready to sign on the dotted line.
Ah,
That's
so,
fun.
we're all gonna be here again next week.
We are going to be here. Why don't my thing go backwards? Hello.
Sean, do you know what the subject is for next week?
Yes, because we have finished all 7. It will be property ownership and land use controls and regulations, which is all that, fee simple and vesting and
Okay.
all that
Okay.
stupid stuff, that highly legal terms you never heard of that are actually English, right? So,
All right.
but that is actually one of the bigger ones, the hardest for
Yeah.
people because it's very term heavy, right?
Yes.
So we went through all 7. Unfortunately, I've only recorded, this will be the 3rd recording. So if you want to go to YouTube and go to KWSAC Metro channel, you can find 2 of them already, but this will be the 3rd. This will be up here shortly, probably tomorrow. And then we'll roll through the other 4. And then you can listen and watch to your heart's content. So who has their test going? Come on, tests are going hot and heavy right now. A lot of new agents, bro.
I'm scheduled for October 4th.
October 4th. Suela, you've been on here a long time, Suela. I know you have.
I know.
I know, me too. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take it. And then I'm like, oh, my kids have baseball. And then I'm like, yeah. I'm probably gonna
well,
take mine in like 2 weeks.
I think Suela, you'll be fine. Just go take your test. Kathy, you'll all be fine. You guys did it.
I just put my application to test in the beginning of August. So I've got a little ways before they process it.
Yeah, you probably got another.
Actually, you'll probably get it back sooner than you realize, because I mailed mine August 6th. And yesterday I got the email saying I was accepted into the test. So you should get it any day now.
Mine took
Yeah.
like 3 months.
What?
Mine took like 3 months.
Yeah. I think DRE is finally catching up. So
Oh,
they got it down to about 4 or 5 weeks now. So which is
Mhm.
good. So get your dates, get them in. Real estate's hot and heavy. Actually, it's slowing down a little bit.
thanks.
You're like, damn it. But actually, I think it's just seasonal. So
Yeah. I'm like, they're still building a lot by me.
the only thing that's going to
By
make it
you.
crazy is if we let inflation get out of control.
Mhm.
Nice screen. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. I know how busy you guys all are. I know you have lives and family members and other people to take care of, and I appreciate you sharing your time with me this evening. I will see you next Thursday. Property use and land use controls. Thank you, everyone. Peace out. Good luck on your test if you take your test. Bye.
Yay! Thank you. Okay, bye.